and E presentation presented by Heather Sandler. I'd like to cover a few ground rules for the presentation. The session will be recorded. We will be muting all microphones at the start of the presentation. To ask questions, please type them in the chat area and the moderator will review and pass along to the presenter. If you are unable to utilize the chat, please use the raise your hand feature and you will be called on. Both are located on the bar when you scroll over the meeting screen. Please do not share any personal identifiable information as these sessions are non-confidential. We suggest you keep your camera off as this helps to keep bandwidth down and improves connectivity. Thank you and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Carol. So it's kind of weird that I can't see all of you, but you can see me. So, but thank you guys for coming in today. And so I just really want to go over. So you looking at me, you're like, wait, Heather works in Voc Rehab. So I just wanted to share a couple of things for you about what our program is. So Voc Rehab on June 22nd of this year, we changed our name. We were renamed as under our current director, Will Streitberger. And so we went from Voc Rehab after many testing and a lot of conversations with veterans who were using our benefits and who were not using our benefit on why they were using our benefit. And a lot of veterans were informed VA central office that we were being they would not apply for Voc Rehab because of the rehabilitation and counseling, and they didn't like what that was saying and the message that it was delivering. So in June of this year, we changed our name from Voc Rehab, traditionally Voc Rehab, to Veterans Readiness and Employment. So we still go under the VRNE acronym, which is what we were using before. We are all still vocational rehabilitation counselors. We are fully staffed in our office in Hartford right now, or in Newington right now. We are also known as Chapter 31, Voc Rehab, Chapter 31, VRNE. So we have a unique kind of moniker and a unique kind of place in VA. We fall under the Benefits Administration. And so we fall under Veterans Benefits. Our offices are actually located in the Newington VA Hospital on the 5th floor. So right now we're not open to the public, but moving forward, and we do all of our counseling via telecounseling. So we have I want to say 11 counselors right now, one employment coordinator, a VRNE officer, and a supervisory veteran rehab counselor. Our program is different because from GI Bill, which is what we often get confused with, because we are not an education program. While we do help veterans get back to work and back to training, and sometimes that includes going back to college, we are actually an employment program, and that's what makes us different from GI Bill. And very often there's a great deal of confusion about, what we do and what they do. We do a number of things that are similar, but we also provide a lot more benefits under Voc Rehab. So there's two important E-words that I like to tell people about, and I think people need to hear about. One of them is eligible. So you are eligible to apply for our program if you are a service-connected disabled veteran, meaning that you have to have a service connection in order to be able to apply for our program. So you can do that on eBenefits. Apply for our program is the easiest way to apply for the program. And using a 1900 form, apply for Chapter 31. The second important E in Voc Rehab or in VRNE is entitlement. So that's what happens is determined after you apply for our program. What happens is that you apply for our program, we get your application, it gets assigned to a counselor, and that counselor and you will meet after you complete some required paperwork that we need to have. and you will be determined if you are eligible to use our program, meaning that your service-connected disabilities are a barrier to your being employed in a field that will not further aggravate your disabilities. It's a lot of words. I do know that. There's a lot of technical words that get thrown around in our program. If at any time any of you have any questions about kind of what all of that means, please just raise your hand and let me know, and chat it in, and Kara will get the message to me and I will answer those questions for you. We have 5 tracks to employment. So I said earlier that our program is geared at helping veterans become retrained in a field that is suitable to their disabilities and that meets their ability to kind of be successful moving forward and finding employment in a field that is best suited for them based on their disabilities, and gets them out of lines of work that will further aggravate those disabilities. And I'll use just a general, and it's kind of my go-to and always my favorite example of that is a veteran comes to me and they have a lower back injury that prevents them from doing great amounts of prolonged sitting or prolonged standing. And that veteran's current occupation is driving a truck long distances. In that situation, that veteran would not be suitably employed under our program, as that his disability is being aggravated by his employment. So there's 5 different tracks to get veterans to employment through VRNE. One of them is reemployment. So if you were working, you were working previously, you were deployed, you've returned, and you need to recertify in a field that is still suitable to your disabilities, but that you just need to get some certifications done, then we can put you in what we call a reemployment plan. We have rapid access to employment, meaning that you've come to us, you already have all of the skills you need, the degrees you need, the certifications you need to find work. You just need some assistance, kind of employment assistance moving forward to get back to work. We have a self-employment track, which is a way to help veterans who can't work in traditional employment find and put them into, set them up and help them get going on becoming self-employed. And the most common track that we have is employment through long-term services. And that can mean anything from going to a technical school to become an HVAC technician or an electrician, to going to college and getting getting a bachelor's degree in a field. And sometimes, depending on the bachelor's degree, we'll talk about possibly, advanced degrees as far as master's degrees if you're going into a field like social work or mental health counseling, programs and degree and fields of study that require master's degrees to be able to work. And then the last track that we have that we are able to help veterans with is an independent living track. An independent living track is for veterans who have are not capable of working, and they oftentimes will have severe disabilities that require some home modifications in some instances, helping veterans, become and be able to live more independently. And eventually, hopefully, that help that veteran, become independent and maybe be able to, go into a work environment and find themselves some employment. And so our program is we will take veterans from we often say from cradle to grave. From the beginning of the program, you will be supported through case management services, meeting with your counselor. That counselor will provide you the case management you need. We will provide you the benefits that you need. We pay tuition fees, books, and supplies. We also pay a monthly stipend, and it just depends on your particular situation. Every veteran is very different. We work very closely with our partners at the State Department of Labor, and they assist us with labor market information and helping veterans kind of find what we call stopgap employment if they need to work and they're not working while they're in our program. And those are the big things that I think I wanted to cover, just helping people understand that VRE, Veterans Readiness and Employment, is our new name, and we are rebranded. And so sometimes you'll hear counselors say Voc Rehab, and it's how it is. It's what happens sometimes. So it's you'll still hear that language. Voc Rehab, Chapter 31, and VRE, Veterans Readiness and Employment, are all the same program, and we are an employment program. And those are my big takeaways. I think I would rather answer questions for those of you who have any questions or any comments. I'm open to them and very welcoming them right now. Does anybody have any questions about our program, any other veterans benefits programs? I mean, I'm willing to answer anything about education as much as I can. And specifically about our program, but I can certainly answer any questions that anybody might have.
Heather, so far nothing in the chat, but we may be navigating the screen, so we'll give a few minutes.
Excellent.
So we have a question, Heather. How long does the approval process usually take? And is there assistance with placement following the training?
So thank you for that question. Generally, what happens from the beginning from the application process, that is when we receive the application, until it gets assigned to a counselor and a decision is made. It's made in less than, you're usually seen in less than 30 days. We have time requirements that we're required to keep. So if we're not too, if we don't have too many applications, we can usually get them, they usually get assigned once a week at the very minimum, but usually it's every day. So it could be anywhere between 5 and 10 days before you're contacted by a counselor. And then once you're contacted by a counselor, it's just time to meet with the counselor. So it's generally about 10 to 15 days. And most counselors will make that decision before you finish your meeting. So we do an entitlement meeting, and unless you meet with one of our contractors, then that's the only time you won't get a response after you meet with them regarding your entitlement. And then how the assistance for placement after training. So we actually don't have like a job pool, a pool of jobs. That's why we spend a lot of time working with the Department of Labor and our partners there. We also work with federal agencies. So specifically, we work with the VA hospital, the Benefits Administration. We try and work with other federal agencies, especially when we're trying to place veterans to do specific jobs. We also encourage veterans to work with their training institutes. So if you go to a place like Porter and Chester, or if you go to a university, to work with their career centers and their department chairs, and to do internships and such to help veterans get placed. But we also will speak to employers with employers to be able to explain to them, you know, the different benefits of hiring veterans, and the different accommodations we can help provide, as far as, you know, accommodations and special employer incentives. And so there's a lot of programs out there that some employers don't know about. And we're also very engaged with several employers who know about our program, who maybe have veterans who've come to them from our program. And when they're looking to hire people, we'll help try and place individuals. So the role of our employment coordinator is most likely going to be changing, and our current employment coordinators has about a week left in our office. So you know, how things are changing at VA. So we'll do our best to try and keep on top of, you know, who our employers are that are looking for those for veterans to be hired. But we certainly help with directing and managing and helping veterans kind of get to where they need to go to become employed, and making sure that they have all of the qualifications that they need. I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry I was a little long-winded, but I just want to make sure that you know, I was clear about that. So thank you for that question, though.
That was from Sean L., and he said it did, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. So, and if you haven't applied, Sean, to our program, then I highly encourage you to get on eBenefits and apply. And the best case is yes, and the worst case is no. And if somebody says no, that you're not entitled, we'll always help you try and find some other alternatives to get into some training. So if anybody has any questions or anything comes up, my information is, the state has my information, and I'll send it along and make sure that anybody has any questions that's not here, or if you talk to anybody and you want to do anything, feel free to contact me. My email is heather.sandler@va.gov, and I'm happy to try and help as best I can.
Thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you, Carol.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Have a good day, everyone.